Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Beauty and Brains, a podcast for first girls from first girls. I'm your host, Shivani McConlove from 14481 Don't Blink. And today I'm here with Emily. Emily, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. So I'm from Team 5462 or 2PA R, which is located in Paw Paw, Michigan. I've been a part of First for, let's see, I joined an FTC team when I was in seventh grade, took a break in eighth grade, and then came back for all 4 years of high school. And now I'm on and off mentoring my old Team 5462 whenever I have a little bit of extra time in between of college.
Yeah, definitely. So now going into my first question for today is how did first shape your mindset when things got hard in and out of robotics?
Oh, that's such a great question. So, for me, first, so I did marketing on my team, business and marketing. So I raised a lot of money. And while doing that, I found that first of all, it it requires a lot of like working with all of the spheres of the team, which sometimes everyone does not agree. Like we all have different opinions of where the money goes, how much money we need, etc., as well as different opinions on like how much time each other sphere should be spending on business and marketing. So what first really taught me with that is that you have to be able to organize people and you have to be able to like kind of energize people to do things that they might not have wanted to initially do. So like for us it was like calling sponsors. No one wanted to do that, but you kind of have to energize people to get them involved. Outside of that, what I've learned from first largely is that, like, first of all, if there isn't, like, if the first time you try something it fails, it's not like necessarily a failure. Like, life requires a lot of different tries in order to like kind of get to a good end goal. And in college, that has been so true. Like I have failed at so many things in college. Like my first year, I had like no friends. I saw that as like a huge failure. But like I kind of went back to my first mindset of like if every time I did something for the very first time and failed at it, like it's just the first go. That doesn't mean that like every time after will be a failure. And first really did a good job of instilling this idea in me of like you just have to keep trying. You just have
Sorry, you cut out for me a little bit.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Um, oh my gosh, my internet is being so silly. Um, let's see. Okay, we'll try this now.
Yeah.
Um, But first essentially taught me like a good example of this is like you're comparing yourself to like LeBron James when you just entered the basketball court. Like you literally just tried to shoot your first 3 point like free throw and you fail. And it's like, oh, do I just give up? And the answer is like, no, you have to just keep shooting, just keep trying. And at some point, like you will shoot so many shots that either A, you'll like just stop getting embarrassed every time you fail. That's kind of me. I fail all the time, and I'm just like, it's another day. Or you'll achieve mastery at some point of that skill.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of with that, like, can you share like a challenge like in first that has kind of like really pushed you and changed you?
Oh yeah, let's see. Okay, so in my team, we're from like a very small town in Michigan. This was one of the first years that we had had like a large number of girls on the team. And so one of the big challenges for like me as a marketing lead, and I believe that year as a co-captain, was trying to not only like integrate women into this very like male-dominated first team, but also like have our voices be heard in a way that was like successful because you can like listen to someone, well, you can just be there to hear someone, but you have to listen. So that was one of the big challenges for me was trying to find a good way to kind of have this team like rally around all of these new like women on the team. And in the end, what I kind of found was like, we all just need to listen. We all just need to value each other's opinions. And as soon as that happens, like, boom, we're done. Like, things start working out better because, like, one of the mentors said on my team best was like everyone has ideas. You just need to be there to like hear them out. They need to feel seen, heard, listened to. And like crazy, like the best ideas, the craziest ideas come from like sometimes the least suspecting people.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to like your time in first specifically, how did you like handle the pressure in like a competition setting?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I was actually the safety captain. I brought one of my safety all-star pins because oh my gosh, I was so proud of those. Um, One of the biggest challenges like during competition was I kind of had like three different like scouting, like I'd come back and check in on scouters. I was also like going through the pits, talking to all of the other safety captains, and also just making sure that my team was being safe. Um, the biggest thing for me, and it still is to this day, is like manage your time wisely. And that applies in college, in a job, in life. Manage your time wisely. So what I found was like I'd spend the morning of the first day with my scouting people, making sure that they like got scouting down, they knew what was up. And I'd also be out there scouting with them too. And then the rest of that afternoon would be talking to all of the people in the pits. And in between, I'd keep coming back to the team. And then the next day would just be me hanging out in the pit with my team and also up in the stands with the scouters.
Yeah, definitely. And um I feel like in a competition setting, like you always have to handle that pressure because otherwise, like I feel like a team can't perform their best if they're constantly falling to that pressure. I 100% agree. And I think time management obviously comes with that, especially when you're in a leadership position, definitely. So like now kind of going into you being like a first alum and a mentor, how do you think first has kind of changed your perspective of what you wanted to study in college?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So on my team, I was the safety captain. I really wanted to go into medicine, so that's why I picked up that hat. It's like, oh, this is perfect. Like, then I get to be thinking about like what if someone gets hurt, I can help them. Like, the list goes on. But what I found like once I hit college, oh my gosh, my dog, um, is that like life kind of pulls you in a bunch of different directions. And I also found like again, I was on the marketing team. I wanted whatever degree I had to be like very versatile, very marketable. So I had considered getting a bio major. That's what I had in
I'm
um
so sorry. You cut out again.
my
Um,
gosh.
do you mind if I just like restart the question?
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. Um, so can you like share how like first has like changed your perspective of what you want to do in college?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off college and it was like I had just gotten off of my time on first. I was spending a ton of time being a safety captain. I was like, yes, I want to be a doctor. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. So I went into college and I started off with my bio major. I was like getting so many classes done, boom, 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 boom. And I hit my sophomore year and I realized like I don't really think I want to like limit myself just to this bio major box. Like I've been enjoying these chem classes. They have a lot more to do with the safety captain role too. So I kind of pivoted. I was like, okay, I'll just do biochem. While in college, I also got a bunch of other opportunities to do research. I did research in a microbiome lab, in a biochemistry lab, and those also kind of shaped like this idea around me of what exactly do I want to do. And I feel like with time, I've kind of landed on this idea of like getting a PhD, which was different than getting an MD, and hopefully being able to do some work in microbiology or genetics. And first, I think the core principle of first that it taught me is like each time that I question, like, is this what I want to do? Is this something that I could do for the rest of my life? Or do I have enough interest in this? And I come back to this idea of like, well, the worst thing that can happen is like, I literally don't get a job. Like, or the worst thing that can happen is like I fail every single time, but I just keep picking myself up. And that's how I kind of have ended up at this point where I'm like, I'm willing to just try a bunch of things. I'm willing to just keep putting on different hats until one hat feels like, oh, this is like a really good fit. This is the right thing to do. Um, and I feel like that's something that's really great about my first experience is that I had to wear so many hats and I had to try so many things that I've really gotten a good handle on like being able to just keep trying until something feels right.
Yeah, definitely, like 100%. And kind of with that, like, what do you think is like something that like first has taught you that you kind of wouldn't have been able to learn in college?
That's a great question. First, first really taught me this idea of like being a like lifelong learner and like really propelling myself to like ask questions and learn new things. Um, and if nothing else too, like it's also taught me like how to be a leader. Like in college, I've had a bunch of leadership roles, some of which because like I am like I will be the first one to tell you I am the loudest person in the room sometimes. Um, but like being able to pick up a leadership role and feel confident in my own choices and what I'm asking other people to do. And also like the humility of that, like first also teaches that where like you can't just be like the supreme leader of like this one thing and not have to do what everyone else is doing. Like I always in like my marketing team, I'd always be the one to do like a ton of the cold calls because I just didn't really mind doing them. But there were some other things too, like that I did not enjoy as much. So first has taught me like how to hand off things that I'm not the best at and be okay with handing them off. How to like how to again keep going back to what everyone else is doing that you're asking them to do. That's so important. And then finally, just like how to continue to learn, how to be willing to learn. Because in life, like post college, post high school, you could just be like, yeah, I don't really want to learn a single thing after this. Like, I'm done. But all the time in college, I've continued to pick up like these random interests of like, oh, I wonder how like this thing works. Or like recently, some of my friends and I, we were talking about it was something dumb, like a card game. We were all talking about a card game. And I was like, huh, like I wonder how like this one girl continues to win this card game. And so we all went and did some investigating work on the side on like we just kept watching her technique of how she would play. And I think that's just so important in life is being willing to learn other techniques on how to do things and asking yourself like, oh, like I wonder how like this works.
Yeah, definitely. And like kind of transitioning into like now you're mentoring your team that you were on. How do you think mentoring has like changed your perspective upon like, first in general or upon like how you acted as a student or just kind of shifted your perspective in general?
Oh, that's a really great question too. Um, Mentoring, what it's done is it's done a really good job of helping me as an individual realize when I am too focused on individual details over like the big picture. Because that was me as like a first student, as I was very detail oriented, but almost to a fault. And being a mentor, it allows you to kind of like open up this. like kind of portal or like make a broader picture in students' minds of like, okay, so we're doing this. Why are we doing this? Well, like for XYZ reason. Or even if like sometimes I'll just show up in the robotics room that we have at our high school just because I have a day off, like I have some time, and I'll just kind of hang out in there in hopes that like either A, I'll be able to talk to some of the students, which I try to. I try to talk to them about, like, hey, this is what I'm doing in college. Like, this is how I was able to get here, and kind of share the like knowledge wealth on these things. Because I come from like a very small farming community. Like, not everyone goes to college, like, not everyone even has the opportunity. So, I try to leverage like everything that I've learned post first and hand it off to these students while they're still in high school and there's still time to like be thinking about these things.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Oh, sorry, continue.
no, it's okay, it's okay. So I feel like the largest thing, like the most important thing that a mentor can do is try to open up like the mental horizon of the people that you're working with because like one time I was talking, and these were some of my friends, like before I had graduated, but they were talking about all of these scholarships that I applied for. And they were like, oh, wow, like, how did you make all of these deadlines? And I had pulled out a calendar and I started talking them through, like, you're going to want to make this deadline. This scholarship has, like, a lot of, like, really good benefits if you get it. And just passing down, like, knowledge that not everyone has access to.
Yeah, like 100%. I feel like um that's kind of what like alums and mentors are really meant to do, just like, telling it's like kind of like having an older sibling. It's like telling and making sure you learn from my experiences so you don't have to go through it necessarily. And I think that within First, like they do such a good job of like fostering that. And that kind of leads me to my next question, like how do you think First has done like a good job of fostering that alumni community?
Oh, that's interesting. So, in all honesty, our alumni community is kind of not that great in my team. Um, I feel like, or I wish that our alumni community was better. I'm one of the first alumni to like come back like pretty regularly and like come talk to the students, like hang out with them. But that's something that I wish like our team would do better was like I wish we would have alumni nights where it was like, hey, if you were ever a part of 5462, if you have any like free time tonight, like we'll buy you like dinner or like there'll be snacks and just come talk because I think the issue is a lot of our alumni on our team specifically don't see their experience as like super valuable, but it's not necessarily like the value in what you have to say, if that makes sense. It's more the value in like how how can you like pass down this information and how can you tell like these students that again like they don't know if they want to go to college. They think college is a scam, it's too expensive, like, or XYZ elemental Q. Like, there's so many other situations. Like, one of my friends I was mentoring, she was going through a very like similar family situation that I had gone through. And so we were able to kind of just like talk about just life. And there are a lot of students that I was friends with on the team beforehand that I've since mentored that like we'll go out to coffee like a couple times a year or like I'm so close with these people like I love them so much. And I just wish that our alumni would come back a little more and would feel like their opinions have value. But within the first network, what I found is like, ironically, in college, I found so many people that like did first, like were on a team, did this, that, whatever. And if nothing else, we were able to talk about like, oh, we must have been at the same event that year. Or like, oh my God, I probably talked to you and had no idea. Like, there are so many little things like that because like my school isn't a big first like feeder school, if that makes sense. Like
Mhm.
in Michigan, we have a lot of schools where a lot of first alum end up at. But just by happenstance, it's like, oh my God, you went to this team that I thought was so cool. Want to talk about it? Like, it's a great introductory, oh, it's my first week at college, or even now, like, I had a friend who I was like an RA for, and she had posted something about like her first team that she was on. And I messaged her, I'm like, oh my God, you were in first? So it really opens up a lot of like doors to meet other people, to talk to other people about things that wouldn't have been opened without it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, along with like first obviously doing a great job, I think it's also like the community of the team. Definitely. Like, we have alums that like come back so often or like come to states with us, and it's just like it's really like it's kind of refreshing to see like there's this one alum who like I was really close with. I was on this team same time like team for only one season, and I got really close with her, and like now like I'm constantly texting her, and like the other day she just texted into our group chat like, "Oh my God, like I met somebody who was on like FDC team blah blah blah." And we're like, "Oh my gosh, like no way. Like even states away, you're finding people who were integrated into this like huge like first community." And I think it's really like it's like awesome, like really. Like just to go like states away and still like meet somebody who did the small little like program that you thought was like just like so little like with you. And kind of with that, like you always have like even as an alum, like you always have that kid who or like that kid that you're teaching or maybe that teammate that you see yourself in when you were a few years ago. And kind of with that, like looking back, like what part of like your first experience, maybe even a story that you're just like so grateful for?
You know, I think with my first experience, I'm most grateful for learning how to talk to other people who have different opinions than you. Like, and how to like graciously disagree, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, there have been many times on our team where like we were kind of at an impasse where we just would disagree, and it would kind of become like a, well, who wants to who are we, what are we going to do then? Like, whose idea are we going to do? And something that I had to learn, like, sadly later, but not never, is the idea that like when we are at this impasse, sometimes you just have to like set it up to vote. Or even if like, and when the vote passes and everyone is not happy, you just have to go 110% into this new idea. Like, again, you don't have to buy into it, you don't have to like it necessarily, but that's what won the vote because our team is like run by students for students. So if there's ever a disagreement, it always goes up to vote normally. And there were some times where like, man, I lost that vote. Like I lost that vote hard. And I was really hurt about it initially, but realizing like it's up to the democracy, it's up to like what the students think is best, even if you as a mentor, as a student disagree, and being able to just say like, yep, my idea didn't win. If this idea works out, wonderful. That's exactly what I wanted to see. But if not, then we'll just go back to a new idea. And being able to like not judge people based off of that or not be angry, which is sometimes like really hard. Like you get really caught up in the team politics sometimes. Like,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, facing like those kind of things, like, I mean, like, one of the main questions that they ask you in an FTC judging room is, what's a challenge that your team had to come over? What's a solution that your team had to, pick? And like, how'd you do that? What's your process? And I feel like there's always there's always one big end goal in like the big picture, like, making it to Worlds, or maybe even just making it out of your division for robot. And like there's so many ways to get there because of, there's so many ways to problem solve, and everybody's mind thinks differently. So obviously they're going to come up with different solutions. So I think that like just like being able to pick and choose which solution you would like, and like you said, graciously, not putting your teammates down, being like, "Oh, like, well, mine's the one that got chosen," like, I think is very important. And I feel like First does a really good job of emphasizing that gracious professionalism where it's like, yeah, like, okay, good, like you came up with a really good idea. I came up with a really good idea. Like, let's see which one the whole entire group likes more. Definitely.
Yes.
And
And I think it's so transparent in like the world that we live in now too. Because like even as an adult, you make like 100 billion different decisions each day, and not everyone's going to agree. Or even like down to the politics of the world right now. Like not everyone is going to agree with you and your stance on every last thing. So being able to just be like, I see you, I understand why you feel that way, but this is what we have right now. Let's move
yeah.
forward.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, everybody's trying to work for the good of the team. That's what everybody's there for. Everybody wants the team to succeed. And that's what's like great about first. And just like sports in general, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to do well. Like maybe your team's aiming for a certain award. Everybody wants that award. So being able to take a step back and kind of be like, okay, like I respect your idea because we're both working to the same goal. You're not trying to sabotage us. So, kind of respecting that. And if their plan doesn't work, okay, let's fall back onto mine. Like, it's kind of like being able to differentiate that. I think First does a really good job of teaching that. So, like, we are coming down to the end of time just a little bit. So, I want to ask you one more question. This is like one of my favorite questions, and it's if you could relive one moment that you had when you were a first student, what would it be and why?
My God. Okay. It already came to mind. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So, my senior year, my team had not been to World since like 2017. Okay. Like, there was a ton of like pressure riding on this. We're at states in Michigan, which you might not know much about Michigan, but it, I believe, is still the most competitive state for first. Like,
Yeah.
unhinged, it's wild. We're there with teams with like $1 million of backing, or at least like $1 million of like machinery to build their stuff with. And I'm sitting there, it's like the hours have been ticking by. Like they still have not announced who's going to Worlds yet. And so we're sitting there up on the bleachers. I'm like laughing with some of my friends, but we're all waiting. It's taking forever. Like it's probably been 2 hours now since the last match, and we're all still sitting there waiting to load up our robots into the crates. And our team was like kind of on the cusp. Like we were like, well, we think we're going, but we will see. And they finally put up like the big spreadsheet of who's going. And I just started crying, like sobbing. And my friends are there like, "Oh my God, it's not that deep, Emily. Like yeah, we're going. This is great." But I'm like, "No, you don't get it. Like I've put in so many hours into this team. Like a part of the hardest part of like me being on that team sometimes was like the fact that it just took like so much give and take, but knowing that like every minute that I put in, every time that I like gave into things that I didn't think necessarily were the best choice, in the end it all worked out and it was okay. And I just, I felt so thrilled to finally like see Worlds for the first time. And this is coming off of like COVID was my sophomore year. The COVID year was like the COVID game was like the second. So to be like the first Worlds after that was even bigger. And one of my friends, I remember a conversation that we had had, and she was like, well, if we go to Worlds, then that'll be during prom. And I was like, screw it. I'm bringing my prom dress to Worlds. And I did. I walked around the pits in my prom dress, and just that whole experience was just so magical to me.
Yeah, I mean like Worlds is like such like an amazing experience that like everybody should experience. Like I personally like I had like such the benefit and like of going my rookie year like last season and being able to even win an award at Worlds like that feeling was also just like insane. And it's also like you know I was winning or like doing so well with a team that I so enjoyed, with the people that, like I really love. So it's like that experience was even more refreshing because, one of our guests actually said this yesterday. It's like, what's the point of winning if you don't have a team to celebrate it with?
Yeah.
what's the point of us going to Worlds if I don't want to celebrate with the team that I'm going with? You know, you're spending a week there. I had a room with like the two other girls on my team. Like, what's the point unless you truly do enjoy the people that you're surrounded with? And I truly do. And, Worlds is such an amazing experience. And I fully believe that like everybody should experience it. Like, at least once. Even going as a volunteer is just an amazing experience, 100%.
Yes,
So,
I totally agree.
yeah. So unfortunately, we are coming to the end of my time, but I just wanted to say thank you, Emily, for coming on. This was really great. I loved all your experiences and, your story was really fun. Like, I feel like a lot of people can relate to it about like, getting that, oh, like we did it feeling, definitely. And I want to the viewers, thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Beauty and Brains. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.